Thanks. I always forget that. Okay. So next on the list, we're going to talk about language equity. Who remembers our language equity conversation from last month? I'm getting a head nod, some hands up. Yes. What was one of the things that we talked about in that conversation?
Possibly converting our website to Spanish.
Okay. What else? What is language equity?
Language equity is putting our materials in a way that anyone can understand and use the resources.
Okay, thank you for that.
For their community.
Who else would like to add to that definition?
The ability for people to participate in the language of their heart.
Nice, Marcy, killed it. Okay, if you recall, we did a poll last month to talk about how the Pueblo Food Project would like to evolve our offerings to have greater language equity and invite folks to the table who may not feel comfortable participating at the Pueblo Food Project now. And if you remember, that poll was to help me tee up a conversation, an interview really with the Colorado Health Foundation, where there was money on the table for the food systems grantees to improve their language equity offerings. We received $13,700 from the Colorado Health Foundation as a result of our brainstorm and pre-work. And that money will drop with our year 2 grant funding. So this is an opportunity for us to really dig in together as a group and determine how we make the Pueblo Food Project more inclusive and accessible to every member in our community, no matter what language they prefer to speak. So round of applause to us for asking those hard questions and sort of coming to some ideas that really helped guide my interview with them. Again, we were successful to the tune of $13,700. So we can start working on that particular set of work and the changes we'd like to see December and onward. The money will drop when we get our second year funding from CHF, which happens in November. Any questions on that? Thoughts, comments? Does someone want to raise their hand now and volunteer to lead the task force or any other kind of conversation on this topic? All right, well, mull it over. We have some time.
I would love to be a part of it, the conversation and the task force.
Thank you, Brandy. Yeah, we will. I'm going to ask for some guidance from our technical assistance provider on the best place to start to sort of gather and inform community feedback on how we move forward. But just know that there will be some asks coming out for community participation as we make these decisions. Any other questions or comments on the language equity piece before we move on to the financial report?
I think it's so wonderful how we keep coming up with new ideas to help promote what we're trying to do here in this group here. How our minds keep evolving, I think, as a collective group. And I think that's one of the strengths that we're showing here as a community group. We're helping each other realize some of our own dreams and ideals that we were hoping would come forward in this. And I want to say thanks to everyone who's contributing on all this stuff. You guys are just amazing.
Agreed. Thank you, Tom, for that. I totally agree. Okay, let's talk about the dollar bills because I think folks are going to be pretty impressed. Let me get to it. All right. First, let me show you this slide. Some of you may or may not have seen the update I gave to City Council on Monday. They ask for periodic updates from the Pueblo Food Project because they do serve as our fiscal agent, and they hadn't heard from us in a while. So it was an appropriate time to get in there and invite them to the conference, to the summit, and then, sort of lay out for them everything that we've been doing in the last year. But these two slides will be helpful as I switch over to our actual financial report, which is linked in your agenda. So the primary funders for the Pueblo Food Project are listed here. We have one operations grant from Caring for Colorado, the Packard Fund, and that is specifically to support the work of the Fujikits, our youth group. We have the Colorado Health Foundation, who is our main funder, obviously, for all of the work that we've been doing together, really focused on systems change. And now we have a plus up from them on language equity, which is wonderful. And the rest of the dollars that we have received are for hunger relief. This is the Food Pantry Assistance Grant, money from the Al Pomar Foundation, the Trailhead Institute and the Denver Foundation, AKA Colorado Blueprint to End Hunger, and the Pueblo County now through the remainder of some of their CARES Act dollars for this next round of funding we received for the pantry. So I'm sharing this with folks because I want folks to recognize that the Pueblo Food Project has brought money to the community. We're not taking money out of quote unquote taxpayer dollars per se to the tune that we're pulling it in from funding outside of the community. We're not taking money out of anyone else's pocket. There's competition, but the Pueblo Food Project is not actively seeking grant dollars that other organizations are losing because the Pueblo Food Project is now in the fold. I think there has been some confusion about how PFP is funded recently. And I just want to be very clear that I work very hard along with others to write these grants. And this is money coming to Pueblo. Except for Caring for Colorado, which is based here. Here is a graph of the dollars over time. So in 2019, we received the planning grant from the Colorado Health Foundation, and you'll see that our grant funds have increased significantly since then. A lot of this, again, is because of COVID-19 hunger relief dollars that were flowing in from every direction. As that money begins to dissipate and things return back to a sense of pre-COVID sort of order of operations, that money is not going to continue to be there. So just want to make folks aware that while we have had a couple of really stellar years, vast majority of that money is coming for hunger relief. So just want to make sure that we're setting expectations here. Now we'll take a look at the financial report that is linked in your agenda. So here's the breakdown, and let me see if I can't, I'm not sure if it's easier for you to see it on my screen or for you to scroll along on your own. There's really no way for me to make this too much better. Let's see if I can do it.
It's easy to see, Monique.
Okay, that might help a little. Okay, so top half is our income and restricted funds. So these are the grants that I have just mentioned. You'll notice on the slide, I called out Trailhead Institute and Denver Foundation, and here you'll see them as Colorado Blueprint to End Hunger. The ordinances that go to City Council come directly from the people that are writing the check. That's how they acknowledge the grant. And on our end, we applied to the Colorado Blueprint to End Hunger, and that's how I manage the account. So that's why those two names are different on this page. And then you'll see the expenses coming out of those accounts. In a lot of places, we are fully spent, and in some places, we haven't begun to quote unquote spend. So the Pueblo County CARES Act grant for $250,000, we've put all of our orders in checks have not yet been cut, or they weren't cut at the close of Q3, which is why we show a pretty significant balance there. Looking at it another way, and I think this might be a little bit easier, these are our spending accounts. So those numbers that you see there is how I draw down from funds within the city system. And so you'll see that we have a little bit in our general fund. We have about $23,000 left for year one implementation. This will mostly cover the Sun, Soil, Water Conference and some coalition development stuff that we hope to implement over the next couple of months. And then we get that second drop here pretty soon. The youth grant, the Packard Fund, has a little bit of money left. This has mostly been covering things like their mural and meals for the most part to get the group together. The El Pomar money has a little bit of money left for hunger relief. The food pantry assistance grant we received from the state has been completely absorbed, and the Fujikits Colorado Blueprint to End Hunger Relief money is well underway and in the works. They've run 3 programs out of that money so far, and another one set up for next week or the week after. And again, the county grant, while you see that $250,000 has not yet been spent, it has basically all pretty much been allocated through the COVID-19 Hunger Relief Task Force. Here is a breakdown of expenses by category. So you can see for 2021, a huge majority of our funding has been spent on food. $25,000, give or take, has been spent on supplies. This includes rentals and like U-Haul rentals and gift cards for volunteers and everything in between, all of the printing that we've done and all those things that go in there. I'm just flagging that it's like some bigger ticket items are in there as well. Gift cards for volunteers, which we have spent quite a bit on, and U-Haul rentals and all of the other things. And if anyone at any point wants a cost by cost breakdown of these categories, we have it. I track it. I have to track it. I assume that at any given moment I'm going to be audited. So there's no problem in sharing that information if that's something that folks are interested in. Give me just a second. We have some folks in the waiting room. Okay. The professional services piece covers expenses for consultants as well as Megan's services, as well as our warehousing for product at the pantry. So those are all of the different sort of consultant pieces that we've done over time and that we are about to do. Including Same Cafe, including the Entrepreneur Development Program, the videos, et cetera, et cetera. So that is that segment there. And again, like I said, on any of this stuff, if you want the breakdown, let me know. And $30,000 has come out of the Colorado Health Foundation grant for my salary. And then there's a tiny sliver in there for meals, and also another tiny sliver in there for memberships, tickets, and venue rentals. Any questions on this breakdown?
Monique, of the food expenditures, how much was of that just a ballpark sourced locally? I mean, that's another narrative that people want to understand, that a big chunk of that was pumped into the local food economy.
A huge chunk of that was pumped into the local food economy. I would have to go back through and re-tag for local food versus just food. But there's no doubt in my mind that at least half of that chunk, I'm certain more has gone into the local food system. And over time, from the time we started the Pueblo Food Project until now, this does not include the city's CARES Act dollars, which we managed, but were not actually assigned to the Pueblo Food Project. So over time, since the beginning of the pandemic until 9/30, if you want to call it that, we've invested more than $800,000 in our local food system with the CARES Act and all of the grants that we've received and the the food pantry assistance grant and now the county grant. Definitely we're right around that $800,000 mark.
Yeah.
If you listen to the work session on Monday, I flagged a dollar amount that was $356,000, and that was just from 2021 spending inclusive of the $250 from the county, because we have commitments made to those vendors already, but checks have not been cut.
So this is Tom. This is for either Mike or for Monique. Is there a sense from the local producers that we are becoming good partners and participants with them for us to be coming to them? Are they more willing to help us as well as we're moving forward in this?
Yes. So when we first asked, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. When we first asked local farmers to give us prices for products or communicate with us regarding local hunger relief efforts, I received 0 responses, none. And now we have a list, now since you asked, now we have a list of local vendors who not only respond, but reach out and ask, you know, when is the next activity? What are you doing? How can I get involved? And our partnerships with the vendors that we've worked with the most are very, very strong. So this is just a list of some of the folks who specifically have contributed to the pantry and some of our other activities. But a year ago, you know, this list maybe had 1 or 2 names on it.
That is so awesome. I know that that's the sentiment, Monique, you hit it nail on the head. Once you prime that pump, I think it'll snowball into bigger things. So that's great job.
Monique,
Yeah,
is there any chance you could share that PowerPoint with us so we can kind of have those points fresh in our mind headed into Sun, Soil, and Water?
totally. Yeah, I
Thank you.
will link it in the agenda as a note at the bottom.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions on the financial report before we move on? Our guest is here. Okay, so I am excited to introduce Ananya, who is a student at the Tufts Friedman School for Nutrition and Public Policy. And she is part of the cohort that is taking a theories of behavior change class as part of her graduate work at Tufts. And the Pueblo Food Project is serving as her service learning project. So this service learning project is an opportunity for students in the program to engage with real world examples of what's happening in local food movements and how you actually change behaviors and habits to improve community health. So today she is going to cover a theory that I thought very pertinent for our work. She'll share a little bit about the theory, some examples, and then we will break out into discussion groups to sort of download the great information that she is about to share. And let me make sure that you are all set. Ananya, you should be able to share your screen, introduce yourself, and get started.
Yep, Monique, just give me a second. Good morning, guys. I'm really happy that you're giving me an opportunity to present this topic today with all of you. Monique, thank you for that. So as 1 minute. Yep. So as Monique had mentioned, Pueblo Food Project has given us an opportunity to present our theories, which we are learning in a theoretical sense in a practical way. And till now in this course, I had learned 6 theories where we felt the model that I'm presenting today to be the most effective. And this model is called as the trans-theoretical model. Please tell me I'm presenting still, Monique? Yeah, okay. So the trans-theoretical model is one of the many models that seeks to explain how and why a behavior change occurs. And it is helpful to assess how we can help initiate the change towards a healthy behavior. So this model can be applied to different settings and behaviors. So I will talk mainly about its characteristics. And as Monique mentioned, a few examples. So this model looks into behavior change that takes as a process over a period of time. It considers 5 general stages as shown in this roadmap. That is the pre-contemplation stage, contemplation, preparation, action, and maintenance. So this theory also suggests that not every behavior change happens in a linear manner, and depending on which stage an individual is present in, we need to modify how we are providing the intervention for the given individual. So this model also accommodates the possibility of relapse into earlier stages, and it gives a guidance on how we can address it to keep things on path for these individuals. So as mentioned before, the 5 stages are pre-contemplation, contemplation, action, preparation, action, and maintenance. And to transition from one stage to another, different processes are utilized, such as conscious racing, dramatic relief, self-re-evaluation, self-liberalization, social liberalization. So these help in their own way for an individual to move from one stage to another. So the pre-contemplation stage refers to those individuals who have not thought or considered about making changes to their behavior. For example, we, as a part of our service learning program at Pavlo Project, we are talking about how to increase fruits and vegetable intake among families with children under 18 years. So for the pre-contemplation stage, we can identify individuals who do not want to eat fruits and vegetables, who have never considered eating it and don't think of doing it in the near future. These individuals will fall under this category. While the next stage, that is contemplation, is for those individuals who start to think that they want to bring about this change and they're aware of how this change in behavior might help make them feel better. For example, if for individuals who are eating ultra-processed foods, if they are aware that it is not going to be helpful for them health-wise, then and they're thinking that I should quit it, and they think that thought process of wanting to change comes under the contemplation stage. So for individuals who are in the pre-contemplation and the contemplation stage, more than action-oriented interventions, we need to look into cognitive interventions. So that would basically involve communication with the individuals. It can be in the form of community meetings, teachers talking to parents, or even the sophomores of a high school talking to their juniors. So this will be more of a cognitive sense where it arises consciousness about the pros and cons of the behavior and how adopting it is the best way moving forward. Having found the first 2 stages, the next stage is the preparation, action, and maintenance stage. So all of these stages are action oriented. As in the preparation stage, the individuals have a strong conviction that they can bring about the change in 1 to 2 months. This is because they have a strong belief that this change will give them a better outlook of life. For example, for an individual who smokes, a death of a close friend or relative due to lung cancer, which is a consequence of smoking, will provide them a strong conviction to quit smoking immediately. So at this stage, the individuals might require social help from family or friends so that they have that motivation to move that one step forward. So the next 2 stages, action and maintenance stages, are where the individual has made the change in their lifestyle. That is, they have adopted into this new lifestyle and have been doing it for quite some time. It might be a month or 6. So they are in this maintenance where they want to continue this behavior. But in all of these stages, these individuals require support from the community, but at the same time, they require self-reevaluation as how it can help them going forward. So, for example, for parents or taking an example of parents with kids under 18, they've adopted this new healthy lifestyle of increased fruit and vegetable intake. But suddenly, if there is an increased workload or a family member has fallen ill, this will increase their perceived barrier of lack of time. Thus, it might demotivate them from continuing this lifestyle. However, support of other family members, such as grandparents, aunts, or even community members in terms of cooking, caring for the kids and their meals, will motivate these individuals to continue, though they might have given a break till then. So this processes of preparation, action, and maintenance are determined by these three, process determinants such as self-evaluation, environment evaluation, and social liberalization. So this example, what I had given is an example of social liberalization, of how the community can help an individual stick on the path that they have adopted themselves for. So as mentioned in the beginning, the trans-theoretical model considers relapses as part of the behavior change process. So that's the reason why we have a lot of arrows going forward for progress and coming back for the relapse. So it can happen from any stage, from one to another. It can happen. It might be a sudden drop, or it might just be a break. But there's always a chance that the individual will be able to progress to where they were before, or even to a stage ahead. So this model identifies few strategies to curb relapses, such as counter conditioning, stimulus control, and reinforcement management. So counter conditioning is a process where we can increase the healthy social opportunities and alternatives for individuals. So for example, because we are talking about adolescents and kids, so every time an individual gets into an emotional eating spree due to stress, we can guide them to reach for a fruit instead of a donut or a cake or fast food. This is a theoretical way of how it might happen. In practical sense, it might be very difficult if there is a barrier of fruits and vegetables not being there at home. Having said that, the other processes, as mentioned earlier, such as dramatic relief, it can be negative or positive emotions that is associated with the behavior. And with time, we can curb the relapse using this dramatic relief to motivate a given individual. So positive and negative emotions can be talking about how healthy eating is going to bring about good future. For example, because they're eating, their stomach is full, they'll be able to concentrate better in school, would be a positive emotion that is associated. While if the cost is too much, then the dramatic relief would be on the negative side, because they just don't want to invest at that point. Having mentioned that, the trans-theoretical model, the trans-theoretical model, as the progression through the stages occurs, the other factors that influence these stages are decisional balance of pros and cons, as mentioned earlier. For example, lack of time and cost of fresh food is a con. However, the healthy lives that the individual might have 5 to 10 years down the line is a pro of adopting this behavior. And self-efficacy of the individual also plays a huge role, as these includes the confidence the individual might have in adopting the behavior. At the same time, this includes the temptation the individual might have to relapse into the earlier behavior that they had been following. So if you want to see a long-term and a substantial change in the health behavior of individuals, we need to look into the decisional balance and self-efficacy of the individuals who we are planning an intervention for. So having said that, so thank you once again for giving me the opportunity to present this topic to all of you, and it hopes, and I hope it really helps Pablo Food Project with its vision and mission. So any questions?
All right. That was a really, really comprehensive overview in such a short time. Ananya, thank you so much. Okay, who has a question for Ananya about this theory or how it applies to the Pueblo Food Project?
I have a question. do we have the statistical breakdown in the community of the various, what our community is in the various stages? So how many people are at each stage?
Oh, that's a good question. Ananya, how would you answer that, or how would you go about discovering that?
The best way to discover that is via surveys. For example, a food frequency questionnaire would give an idea of how frequently the individual, I'm talking about fruits and vegetables, so how frequently they've been consuming that in the past week, in a given day. So this will help us understand in whether they are in the contemplation, preparation, or the action stage. However, it would be very difficult to determine because we're talking about nutrition, and it is very difficult for us to remember what we had in the morning. So how are we going to expect these individuals to remember how they had food over a period of time of like 6 months or 2 months? But we can take an household economic review to see if there is an increased purchasing of fresh foods and fresh foods such as fruits and vegetables. So both of these would give us a comprehensive view of a statistical and comprehensive view of where each individual lies in which stage.
So is it accurate then to say that the type of intervention, the type of communication, the type of information to engage with those individuals at the various steps is different?
Yes, as I did mention, when the individuals are in the primary 2 stages, anything that we do that would be action oriented would really push them off into the negative side, that they would not want to adopt that behavior. However, if they are in the latter 3 stages of preparation, action, and maintenance, any action oriented stage will sort of help. For example, a community garden where they can meet up weekly to pick up fruits and vegetables. That's an action-oriented way of working towards increasing fresh food consumption. But if you're talking about individuals who are in the pre-contemplation stage, asking them to come to a community garden when they already feel lack of time is a barrier would just make them feel they should not adopt that behavior anymore.
So I think that underscores the value of trying to determine the percentage of the community in the various steps to allocate the appropriate efforts and funding towards those areas that would provide the greatest value or make the greatest change.
True, it does.
I think it would also be interesting to find out where each of us on the coalition sits right now on that roadmap. I'm sure we're not all in lockstep. And it would be, how would we go about, is there a model that could be put out there so that we could maybe grade ourselves individually as to where we think we might be? Is there any kind of a not a poll, not a test, I don't know the best word, but how we would each see ourselves individually as it relates to the rest of the group, so we know where we need to not step up, but learn more, open up a new avenue of discussion that maybe we haven't thought about that.
That is an interesting suggestion. We can ask for the support of the students to maybe help us create a self-assessment and maybe some survey questions that we can add to our future activities that would help us gauge where our audience is. Okay, we are just going to take a couple of minutes to break up into small groups and talk a little bit more deeply about the theory as it relates to our work. So here is a Google Doc. Anyone do me a favor, click it and make sure that you can access it. Yeah, okay. I'm going to break you up into groups of 3. And you're going to have a small discussion. We're not going to do this for very long, like 6-7 minutes, just a couple of ideas that Ananya's presentation triggered for you. You may get lucky and Ananya might end up in one of your groups, so you'd have an expert there. I'm going to open these now. Pick one or 2 questions, do all 3 if you can. And we will kind of, let's see. send you off to the races. Here we go. Go ahead and join your group. Oops. My mistake, guys. We're gonna have to try that again. That was a user operator error on my end, folks. I created 3 rooms of 11 instead of 11 rooms of 3. So welcome back. You're traveling through time as I correct this mistake. Hopefully folks will be back here in a second. And we're gonna try that again. We want 3 rooms of 11, not 11 rooms of 3. Here we go. Let me try that one more time. 10 seconds for everyone to flood back in here and say, what is going on? All right, here we go. We are take 2 on these discussion rooms. And let me try that again. Yes, wasn't that a fun, quick trip? You're back. Let me do that one more time. Hold on here.
That was fun though.
I bet it was. I bet it was. Okay, here we go. There we go. Now we have it. I'll blame it on my dyslexia. Here we go. Off you go.
What a blessing.
Okay, there we go.
No,
Welcome back, party people. Okay, oh, there it is. There's the flood. Ananya has to leave because she is actually in the middle of another class. So she's a true multitasker joining the professional world. Everyone, round of applause for Ananya.
Thank you.
And if we think of any burning questions, we will be sure to email them to you. And thank you so much for thinking about the Pueblo Food Project.
Thank you guys for giving me this opportunity. Take care. Have a great day.
Thank you, Anna.
Likewise. Okay, how about just 1 or 2 follow-up thoughts from your mini group discussions? I see a lot of notes on the discussion page, so I appreciate that. But does anyone have something that they would like to share? We'll take maybe 1 or 2 comments.
I do.
Go for it.
Okay. I suggested that we is not just like, on eliminating creating by offering literature, but going deeper and even in messaging that include things like we will not verify XYZ, we do not require an ID, stuff like that, that would automatically discourage individuals from accessing, these resources. Just going deeper.
Yeah, I appreciate that call out. So kind of helping the pre-contemplation phase move to contemplation by easing some of the concerns. That is a big part of what we're doing with our our public food assistance support videos that should be dropping next month. So yeah, reducing that ambiguity and fright is a big one when folks are looking for help. Thank you for that call out. Okay, who else? How about one more before we move on?
We talked about it in our group, this whole roadmap and also the language equity. What a perfect fit they see, or how do we utilize this roadmap in the language equity? How do we reach more people as we're moving forward with this project to bring them into better sense of understanding, not where they are, but also where we are and who we are as well, how we all benefit from what we're actually trying to do here, and that we don't want anyone to feel like they're being left out or left behind.
All right. Yes. Thank you for bringing it back to our work and something that we're going to be focusing on very soon. Okay, let's move on and get into our working group updates for the month. Mo, if you don't mind, I'll start with you.
All right. So we had a very busy past month, kind of kicking it off with Chili Fest. We had a great turnout there, and I think it was a very successful event. We're also in the process, we're about to launch the startup semester, which was designed by Jolene Collins for entrepreneurs to get wraparound service. And there is a link in the agenda for our one-pager, but it's basically a 3-part curriculum. So there's going to be a 15-week classes that's going to come with incentives for our students. There's also a self-guided online resources, and then the third piece is the what do we call it, Monique? It's not a database, but a resource guide. There we go. Couldn't think of my words. Okay, so we also hosted a couple of conversations with local restaurants for building an ARPA proposal. We didn't get a great turnout from the restaurants, and so we're still deciding what we want to do with that, but we definitely have some potential solutions. So that's the food economy working group, and we're just really excited for our conference in November.
All right. How about Lindy, food access?
Good morning. This is Lindy. So we had an update on our Same Cafe RFP that went out for the second time. And I'm sure, Monique, you might be giving an update on that, but it's something that our working group has been discussing for quite a while. So it's exciting to see it move forward, as well as our videos. So we were able to preview a couple snips of those and provide some feedback for how we think it should look overall. We had some great ideas for keeping it positive, welcoming, fun, and of course, food related. But overall, I think they're doing really well, and it's exciting to see that too after working on these for so many months together. This overlaps with food and farm literacy education group, but we did a make your own salad dressing workshop. And we had planned to do that at the Mineral Palace Edible Landscape, but instead ended up doing it at Lucero Library. We had a great turnout. We had tons of fresh local veggies and fruits that the Fuja kids got to shop for, along with other healthy staples. So you could get all of your food groups in a delicious salad and make your own dressing. And people were really excited to do that. And I think we'll be planning some more of those kind of collaborative cooking together activities. We looked at the farmers market successes overall, such as dollars that it helped generate for our local economy, but more importantly, all of the delicious food, local food and services that people were able to access at the market. And then started talking about holiday food access initiatives as well. So I think that's about it. And anything I missed, I think will be in the coordinator's update. Oh, Brandy's adding the new in-house food pantry at 330 Lake Avenue. So we'll be doing a lot of exciting things there, I think.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Dr. B or Dr. Jim, would you like to talk about environment?
I can go ahead and do that. I don't know if Jim's on the line or not, but we discussed mainly the comprehensive land use plan. And for those of you who don't know, about 20 years ago, the county has developed a land use plans to dictate how the community is going to grow and some of the precepts of how we're going to use some of those natural resources. And this is now an update of that. I've been involved with it. And one of the guiding principles that's really been a resounding theme is that how are you going to preserve ag land and the use of ag land? And of course, that weaves into things like water use. So we discussed that, and really the next step is once this plan is, and the plan is basically a guiding document for the different entities that give approval to different growth patterns in the county, how they're going to use that. Is how do we put some real teeth into that? And so that's our next goal. How do we do that? Even though it's a guiding principle, how do we come up with very tangible initiatives to protect farmland, for example, or to conserve water? And so that's really what's on the agenda now. And that'll of course weave into some of the things we're going to discuss at the conference later next month. So Monique, would you like to add anything else in that? If you do have a chance, please go to the county website and look at that, because there's a lot of information, a lot of, I think, denotation toward the Pueblo Food Project. And I think it's important that we understand that we're being weaved into that as we go forward. So if you have comments, there's a comment period now. And if you got a chance to look at that land use plan, we'd appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll add, just as a follow-up to folks who participated in that conversation and others who are interested, each goal has a set of measurements of success, and our group really felt that the measurements of success connected to the preserving ag land and so forth were a little bit light. So I have a meeting on November 8th with the consultants who are drafting the plan to help them evaluate, update, and add measures of success that really fold in some of the things that we're measuring ourselves on: increased access to local products, number of folks who can access those things, locations, dollars spent, all of these kinds of measures that we sort of gauge our work on. We're going to suggest that they layer in. They had lots of different activities and only 3 measurements, which were quite vague. And so I was grateful that in that feedback session, they were receptive to us helping them update the measures of success to have a little more meat on the bones there. Okay, I'm going to provide an update for Dr. Kelly, as she is unavailable today, but the Food and Farm Literacy and Education Working Group was excited to kind of talk through some ideas for our next parent engagement. We have landed on another parent brainstorm and DIY lasagna making activity. And I will share a list of dates and other fun stuff towards the end of the meeting and the coordinators report. But that is something that we talked about. We also engaged on the DIY salad dressing activity. And just as a shiny fuzzy moment, here is a fabulous picture of the new cohort. Half of the new cohorts at the salad dressing activity. So folks really did have quite an abundance to shop from. All of the vegetables from the tomato box forward and over are all from Pueblo County, which was quite a surprise given how late we were in the season, but we got it like that. So it was exciting to be able to share that with the community. And yeah, the group is really looking forward on ways to more strategically engage our parent community in the weeks ahead. For the advocacy working group, I am excited to share, excuse me, let me just let these folks into the waiting room. I am excited to share a potential evolution, and I'm going to share my screen now, and we're going to talk a little bit about a policy working group that folks have been thinking about. And we will review this together briefly, and then I have some poll questions on whether or not the overall coalition is supportive. So, and this is linked in your agenda if it's easier for you to see that way. So one thing that we all know, if you were in a meeting, if you were in one of our meetings a few months ago, we talked about big P and little p policy, and policy can be really challenging to change, especially over a short period of time. And another feature facet that we realize is that our working groups, it's awesome that they are open and so dynamic. However, sometimes the folks in the room are a little bit different. And it is tricky to affect policy change with new faces once a month. So we're hoping to gather a group that is committed to working on policy change with the Pueblo Food Project and sort of create a consistent approach to how we do things. So there will be a stage of formation, a stage of making decisions, and then we'll actually get to do some work. So the idea is that the group would form based on an application, and there would be some requirements. The first requirement is participation in a Pueblo Food Project food policy boot camp. Next would be dedicated representation of the Pueblo Food Project on at least one other group or coalition meeting where food policy is being discussed. This could be organizations like if the health department has a task force that they're convening, the Colorado Blueprint to End Hunger, Nourish Colorado, the Colorado Fruit and Vegetable Growers Association, Rocky Mountain Farmers Union, all of these different places where food is being discussed that might have an impact on our local food system. There will be a requirement to report out on that group at each coalition, at each working group meeting, and then potentially to the larger coalition. Be committed to participating in the working groups and committed to doing the work that everyone agrees on. A timeline might look something like this. The Food Policy Bootcamp would open up for January 2022, and that would be open to all members of the Pueblo Food Project. This is so that we're all speaking the same language when we talk about food policy and food policy change. February would be the application period for the Food Policy Working Group. And then the group would form in March and really focus on how they're going to make decisions. So oftentimes the Pueblo Food Project gets asked to support one policy versus another, or to sign on to a letter or not sign on to a letter. And we don't really have a documented procedure of how we make those decisions. And in order for us to be representing the coalition as a whole, we should have one, because it's not the same for me to have my opinion and sign a letter than for us to say, nope, this is how our coalition came to this decision. And we as the Pueblo Food Project are signing a letter. So that's really important as we mature as a coalition representative of our local food system. And then in May, the group would be asked to present their decision-making framework to the coalition at large for feedback, approval, and adoption. And then we can start the work of policy change. I know it seems kind of like a long timeline, but the reality is that's what it takes. A lot of these campaigns are built, 2 years out, and we want to make sure that we're organized and strategic as we move forward in this work. Any questions on that? Okay, I am going to launch a poll, and I know that you have just heard about this and you might have lots of questions but not sure what they are yet, but let's just do some, gut checks right off the top, what you're thinking. For this poll, there are 8 questions. And they sort of relate to whether or not you support this working group, and then some questions around the boot camp, because the boot camp will be open to anyone and everyone who's interested in improving their food policy chops. So please feel free to participate. And we're not going to spend a ton of time on this, maybe just 2-3 minutes for you to read through and just sort of gut reaction here. All right. We're almost at 50% participation. Another minute here. Looks like we have about 10 folks who need to finish clicking through their votes. All right, last call, last call. Okay, I'm going to end this poll. All right, so do you support the formation of a food policy working group? Everyone is in support. Do you support a PFP sponsored food policy boot camp? Everyone is a yes. Would you participate in the boot camp? Most people are a yes. We have a couple of folks who are a no, and it's a split decision on if it's in person and virtual. Okay, if you were going to participate in a boot camp, which would you prefer? And you guys aren't making it easy on me at all. It looks like folks are kind of split across these options here. Some would like it for a full immersive 2 days. Some would like a full day with a pre and a post. And most folks are interested in having it split out, but not by much. Do you agree that there should be prerequisites for participation? Most yes, and some no. Do you think that the prerequisites are reasonable? Everyone is a yes. Naturally, everyone believes that we should both support and lead policy efforts, which makes sense to me, although it can get tricky. And then at what scale do folks think we should participate in here? You could pick two. Local was a choice that everyone selected. And then there was kind of almost a split between state and institutional. Okay, for the folks who selected no for the prerequisites, I'm not going to put you on the spot here, but would love for some feedback either via email or in the chat if you feel comfortable with that, on why you would select no to that question. And we can work through sort of what it would mean to find a group that's going to be consistent and committed in order to do the policy change work while not making the requirements for that participation too much for anyone to bear who might be interested in participating. Okay, any questions on that before we move on? Nada? All right. The Fuji Kits are moving and grooving. They have a collaboration with All Pueblo Reads next week. All Pueblo Reads is a program by the library where essentially all of Pueblo reads the same book. This year it's a cookbook, and they will be doing a cook along with a celebrity chef and providing all of the ingredients for families to augment one of his very fancy recipes. They'll be doing mushroom tacos and a lemon hibiscus, a hibiscus lemonade in place of a lemon hibiscus sorbet. So be on the lookout for those signups. They're killing it. And yeah, I have nothing but great things to say about them, but you should come participate in one of their events because they're really dope. That kind of covers the All Pueblo Reads part of the coordinator's report. So I just blended those two. I say to you now, dear people of the Pueblo Food Project, please, please, please sign up for the Sun, Soil, Water Conference. Please. I know you might be thinking, oh, I'll do it later, or it's on my list, or I haven't done it yet, but I'm really going to. We are planning a crazy dope conference with 30 speakers from all across the nation, delicious food all day long, fabulous swag, really great stuff. And we literally have 30 people signed up for the conference. And most of you are not on that list. So please, please sign up for the conference. It's my understanding that the last one had 200 people there, and that's the number that we're going off of for this one. And we really need to get those numbers up because it is November 12th and 13th, which is 2 Fridays from now. And yeah, we can't have a conference for 30 people. So take the time, take the 5 minutes it's going to take you to register, and please do so. It would be greatly appreciated. There are supports if you'd rather use your $10 somewhere else, totally cool. There is a support form that you can fill out and your participation will be covered, not a problem at all. So please, please, please get in there and fill that out. While we are on the topic, we have the Inaugural Food System Leadership Awards. The 3 awardees have been announced. Our food access advocate of the year is Helen Benavides from the Soup Kitchen. Go live a day in Helen's shoes at the Soup Kitchen and tell me she does not deserve this award. So it's really incredible work that is going on over there, and we're excited to honor her in that way. Our People Planet Profit Award is going to Vicky Voss at, there's a really weird knock on my door, but I'm going to ignore it. Vicky Voss at SoCo Cold Storage. She is helped us with every single food pantry order, so we're really excited to honor her. And our Farmer of the Year award is going to Carla Morrow from Morrow's Farms, who has been a dedicated collaborator with the Pueblo Food Project since the beginning. As a matter of fact, the first farmer to help us out in our hunger relief efforts at the start of the pandemic. So excuse me, guys, something really strange is going on.
That sounds like a boss knock on the.
Definitely.
I don't think she's at the office though.
Oh, no.
Which is what makes it
Okay.
really weird.
Okay, okay, got it. Sorry about that, guys. So yeah, tickets for this award ceremony are $20. Tickets for the conference are $10. And Megan has a link she's dropping in the chat now. We will also honor a PFP Member of the Year. So please take a look at this form that Megan is dropping in the chat and nominate someone. You can nominate yourself, you can nominate somebody else, but would love to honor one of you for supporting all of the work that we have been doing. I think that is
there a Facebook post that we can all share on the food project site?
Okay. Definitely. Megan is giving me a head shake. Yes, there absolutely is.
Thank you.
Okay, Mo talked about the Entrepreneur Development Program. Just want to let folks know that it is moving and grooving. We have selected a location. The Entrepreneur Development Program will start the Tuesday after Martin Luther King Jr. Day and will run for 15 weeks at Rocky Mountain Sayres Empowerment Center. This is an amazing program with speakers from all over the state who will help you get your food farm-related business up and running. Yeah, the official registration will start next month at the conference, but want to let folks know that it's out there. The cohort will be limited to about 10 people, and there's a fabulous grouping of incentives along the way. So for example, after you finish your financial modeling section, you'll be given a subscription to QuickBooks, and you'll sit with a QuickBooks consultant to help set up your business. So little tips like this along the way will make sure that by the end of this 15-week program, you are good to go. So excited to share the progress on that. Yeah, I'm really excited now to announce that our Same Cafe RFP round 2 was successful. We have 5 different folks interested in the bid. We had 2 bids come in that were complete, and we have awarded the bid to our very own Mark Anthony, who was really one of the only people from Pueblo who submitted a bid. And it wasn't because he was from Pueblo. This was a blind evaluation done by folks from the same team and Pueblo team. And yeah, he won fair and square. So we're excited to have the ink wet on that contract and get started on that work here very soon. And let's see. Oh, yes, this is the last thing that I want to put up for folks, and then we're going to open it up for community announcements. Sorry, those knocks on my door got me kind of nervous. It's all good though. Let me see. Let me pull this up and get to the right page. Okay, key dates ahead, just so that we're all on the same page. All Pueblo Reads by the Pueblo Fujikits is happening November 5th. There's also Empty Bowls happening November 5th. We have our inaugural Food System Leadership Awards on November 12th. Again, Sun, Soil, Water Summit. Sign up, it's going to be dope. November 13th. Working groups will be the week of December 6th. So it's going to be a little funny because of holiday schedules and the like. So just keep an eye out for the updated calendar invites on that. Our parent brainstorm and DIY lasagna making workshop will take place on December 10th. And mark your calendars for a fabulous affair. We will have our December meeting in person in the evening, and it will be a year-end potluck and celebration. Whew. With that, I conclude this coordinator's report, and I open the floor for community announcements, appreciations. Brandy, you want to let the crew know what's going on with the pantry?
Yes, thank you. So we are so very excited here at Rocky Mountain SARE. We have finally launched our in-house food pantry at 330 Lake Avenue. That is the former John Newman School. Some know it as the former Head Start School. We are open 3 days a week right now, evening and weekend hours, Monday and Wednesday from 4 to 7 p.m. and again on Saturday from 10 to 2 p.m. We have so much different food types. It's crazy. My mom, for example, has been looking for maple syrup and cinnamon sugar, and she's been going to multiple stores. She couldn't find it. We have that here at the pantry. We have so many different food choices and a lot of fresh produce available as well. We want to promote that healthy living and healthy lifestyle. So come check us out. We normally don't have any requirements. The only thing you need to fill out is your name, how many seniors, adults, and children live in your home. And then we have other programs that also help out farm workers. So we have some related questions to that on our registration form. But there's no ID needed, no income requirements. And then you could come up to 3 times a week over here to the food pantry. You have the opportunity to pick up food for your neighbor, your family members, or your coworkers. We don't have a limit as to how much food boxes you can pick up. We just want you, share the word and share the love of food, and let everybody know that we all eat food. It doesn't matter if you make $0 or if you make $200,000 or $2 million. We all eat food, and we all need to be able to share that access and the knowledge of food. And it's not where only poor people are able to receive these benefits. Everybody is able to. So save yourself some bucks, save it for gas, for the gas prices, and come get you some free food. Also on Saturday, right alongside with the food pantry, we will be handing out treats for the kids as well in our gymnasium from 10 to 2 p.m. So we just want people to gather and know that this is a safe place here. And if you ever are needing any other resources, please reach out to us and I'll be happy to help. Thanks so much, Monique, for the opportunity.
Other community announcements and appreciations. What do people got going on? If you're still with us, turn your camera on for the next couple of minutes. Say hi.
I have an announcement. The Bessemer Mobile Food Pantry, which is the second Friday of every month, will be changing our time starting in December. I don't have the exact date, but starting December, we'll be changing our time from 8:30 a.m. to 2 Yeah. So please make note of it. Thank you very much.
Just one other thing real quick, if I could. El Centro de Quinto Sol is also going to be having their Halloween Spooktacular on the 30th, starting at about 4:30. We're going to have loads of goodies, I guess, for the kids, but we're also going to be looking at some different programs there at the rec center to bring in for the community members around here, as far as healthier food access, better exercising opportunities for the kids and for the families, how we can grow community better on this side of town as well. So those are things we're going to be looking at as we move forward into the next year over here too. So thank you, guys.
I want to give an appreciation to Christy Bartolo. It feels like forever ago, but 1 month ago today on a Thursday, so it was right after our meeting, we held the history of farming at the Heritage Museum. It was an engagement for the Environment Working Group, and Christy threw down a presentation all about the history of farming and the modern history of farming in Pueblo and Pueblo County, with tons of newspaper clippings and maps and pictures and articles and stories and passion. And this woman is really dedicated to the food system here. And I just want to give you a shout out and appreciate you for all of the preparation that went into that and all of the care you showed during the presentation for the topic. I think everyone had a great time, and we activated some new PFP members. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you. That was a fun time. Can't wait to do it again.
All right, who else? Nana, do you want to share with folks a little bit about Grain School in the Field on Sunday, November 14th?
Yeah, thanks, Monique. I would love to. So on November 14th, we are mostly in Avondale and Boone for Grain School in the Field. As you know, we are partnering with the Pueblo Food Project and the Sun, Soil, Water Conference on November 13th. But then Grain School goes on with a practical hands-on day. And there are basically two sets of workshops in the morning and in the afternoon. Some of them are focused on makers, particularly focused on tortillas and tamales and fresh masa production with locally grown, right now, Mountain Ute tribe corn, but hopefully in the future with Pueblo County corn and not feed corn, but food corn. And so if you're interested in learning how to make tortillas, we have a group from Mexico coming up to introduce a real artisan way of making tortillas with a stone mill that we have and a tortilla machine for corn tortillas particularly. And then we also have a couple of workshops that might be of interest too. And one of them is in the morning for adults on plant-based eating, focused on corn and beans, of course, 3 sisters, 4 sisters, and milpa gardening. And that is led by a medical doctor from the Springs, who was a grad student in sport nutrition at UCCS. And then the other one is in the afternoon for families and children on all sorts of culinary applications using corn. And so this one, if you're interested in any of those two, please email me directly. I will make a couple of flyers. These courses are free for the community. And so otherwise, Grain School in the Field, together with the 13th, has a cost to it, but we have over 30 scholarships. So the same scenario as Monique mentioned, we do have empty seats right now, and this is something that is very important, restoring the foodways of corn and restoring our foodways in Pueblo County. So hopefully you're joining us for the Grain School in the Field. If you have any questions, just email me, and I posted quickly the program in the first link that you can see, that Canva link. And if you're interested in a scholarship as a producer or maker or educator even, just follow the link to Sean Savet, who is taking the applications for scholarships. So hopefully we'll see you. Should be really fun and intimate, I guess. Small and beautiful.
Right. I see Velma with a hand up. I'm not sure if that's on purpose or not. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so I just want to plug, we have a student-run restaurant at PCC, which is open to the public. It's open on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays for lunch, 11:30 to 12:50. And this semester, we're doing all the flags that have flown over Pueblo. So we're doing themed menus. Last week and this week is France. And then the next 2 weeks will be Spain. We'll do Mexico, and we're going to end the semester with Indigenous Cuisine. So I want to invite everybody to the Gpa Dining Room. It operates just like a regular restaurant. Everything is under $10, and you're supporting our student learning. We're also having an event on Friday. We don't usually have service on Fridays, but from 11 to 1 this Friday, we're doing an outdoor buffet. It's Halloween themed. Our event planning students put a lot of work into it, and it's $10 a person. And I'm going to put the phone number if you want to make reservations in the dining room in the chat.
All right. Velma.
Hello. If I can figure out which button to push. Clearly, I need more coffee. I want to plug a meeting that's coming up. It's indirectly food related, but it's environmental food overlap. And that is at this coming Thursday from, well, tomorrow, from 4 until 6. The Public Utilities Commission of Colorado is going to be here in Pueblo, holding an in-person opportunity to testify about what, about Excel's plans for the Pueblo plant number 3, also called Comanche, which we in the environmental organizations are trying to avoid using that name because we think it's kind of disgusting that Excel tries to greenwash their power plants by naming them after indigenous people all over the state. But that's a side issue. In this case, many of us, myself included, recognize that as the largest emitter of greenhouse gases in the state and the largest emitter of toxic substances like lead, arsenic, mercury, and so forth in our community. This plant has the potential to contaminate not just the air, well, it actually does contaminate not just the air, but also soil and water, which is where it interfaces with quality of life in our community. So my own personal position is to advocate for a closure date closer to 2030 to stop burning coal and to shift to something we have in abundance, like renewable energy. Even if the power came here, the trade-off for all that pollution would still be a bad deal for our community, I feel like. So, however, it's not for me to tell other people how they feel about it, but to become informed about this issue because it's one of those big intersectional opportunities for us to participate in quality of life in our own community. So it's at the El Pueblo Museum, 4 to 6. We recommend if you want to observe, you can get there anytime. If you want to actually testify, it'll probably be 2 to 3 minutes of saying what you think, and you can say anything you want to the Public Utilities Commission within the bounds of civil discourse. And registration for speaking probably will begin between 2:30 and 3. So thanks. I appreciate the opportunity to let you know about that.
All right, thank you for letting us know. I see one hand up from Mark Anthony. I'm not sure if that's on purpose or not.
I can hear that.
Kind of.
Can you read?
Try again.
How about now?
I think that's a little better. Yeah, give it a whirl.
Cool. I just want to say thank you guys for the support in submitting the RFP for Same Cafe. Shouts out to Brian Estrada. He really helped me out by putting me in touch with some folks from the Pueblo Small Business Development Center. I was able to get it reviewed by some of their consultants, and I just wanted, this was a team effort, and moving forward, this is going to continue to be a team effort. I'm excited and grateful to take leadership on this. However, I shall continue to tap the expertise of this committee, who have great knowledge and connections in town, to continue to provide a robust network of food access for our community. And thank you for everybody for your work, and let's keep this great work going. So thank you.
All right, with that, we are at 10:02. You know how I feel about staying on time, so thanks for the extra 2 minutes, and I will see each and every one of you at Sun, Soil, Water Conference on November 13th, because you're gonna go sign up right now. Right now. Peace out. Don't forget to nominate someone for Member of the Year. Don't forget, feedback link is in the chat. Have a great day. Bye.